July 5th, 2022, Mary Conley from Jacksonville. During the summer of 74, not 78, there were 5 little girls that went missing throughout the summer of 74 in Jacksonville. 3 of them were probably abducted and killed by a mentally ill man on a spree, more than a serial killing. It's kind of a spree. His name was John Paul Knowles. His haircut was cut like Elvis. He had long sideburns, I think, and he was blondish. But if you go back to my other videos on Virginia Helms, see, if you listen to this stuff long enough, it begins to add up. Bundy had killed 2 women in July of, what was it? Oh my God, July of 74, and he was due to go to Utah in August, September. He was working for the Department of Emergency Services in Olympia, north of Seattle, I suppose, many miles, quite a trip. So when he was going up there during the summertime, everybody, after the girls were murdered, they said a man named Ted, who was tan and had a British accent, wearing white dress shorts and top, approached the women at the lake, and he had a tan or bronze Volkswagen. Well, at the place that he worked, the emergency services, they were ribbing him mercilessly. It said mercilessly anyway. Especially Carol Ann Boone, who he was grooming. He was beginning to groom her because he realized she had some money. He asked Liz to take his Chevron card, and while he was going to take a trip up to Olympia for a couple days, he would use her Volkswagen. Well, he wasn't police, so people aren't running tags. His Volkswagen was a brown, tan, beige, brown, whatever you would call it, ugly old, almost white, 68 Volkswagen, and she used it for a couple days, and he told her to use his Chevron card to put gas in it for a couple days. He might have told her, well, they're testing it. I got to test your car to see why why the gas mix is too high or something. I don't know what he told her. He used her Volkswagen. So the people up in Olympia who were ribbing him about being the Ted now see him in a pale blue and realize, well, that can't be the same guy then, ha, ha, ha. And they're not going to run tags. He shows up in a blue Volkswagen, and he knew they would never see the Volkswagen again because that September 1st or 2nd, he's taken off to Utah. And they're not going to be in Utah, so they're never going to know that he didn't have the blue Volkswagen. They're saying, oh, he has a light blue Volkswagen. Well, it can't be him then, ha, ha, ha. So he uses her car to go to Olympia. In the meantime, Carol Ann Boone is getting a divorce from her second husband because he was older and it was a amicable divorce. He may have given her a lump sum. Let's call it $10,000, which would be about $65,000 nowadays. He may have just said, well, rather than go through a traumatic divorce thing, this isn't working out, she's a little weird, I'm going to get a divorce from her and just give her money. Now, she was very competitive against Liz. She wanted to win Ted away from Liz, and there's no telling what he told her. He may have just told her, it was on again, off again. Who knows what he told her. So she had money available. So we have 2 things here. He's learned to use a way to do credit cards. In his mind, that's all you needed. All you needed was a surface pretense. It didn't have to go deeper than that. You didn't have to say, well, that's not my tag and that's not my car. What if they stop Liz in Seattle? Well, that's good, because then if somebody questions something in Seattle, let's say the woman's driving that tan car. His brain didn't go too much further than that. But he did have enough sense to let her buy gas. And what I said back in the Virginia Helms, somebody may have made the purchase for him, and or he gaslighted the clerk in the Murray, Utah gas station, which I know, Mr. Fisher, this is the opposite of what you did, but he was learning to do white-collar crime. So he could be a place where he wasn't supposed to be, or be in a place where he wasn't. So in other words, if he made it look like he had purchased two purchases in Utah when he really took the flight down to Florida, got the red Volkswagen and simulated. He was doing weird stuff then. And where did he have the money? Let's think about this for a minute. He had to get first and last month's rent and a deposit. He had to change the tags on not just the truck. He had bought a truck, was another reason he could have hid the Volkswagen. He could have used the truck occasionally. He had a truck with I guess, a Washington tag. It had to be changed out and re-registered. The Volkswagen had to be re-registered. You need new driver's license. You got to buy books, tuition, clothes, food, gas. You got to have electricity and a telephone set up. He didn't have, where did he get all this money? I figure that Carol Ann Boone said, I'm beginning to really like him, and I want to compete against Liz, so I'm going to chuck over $3,000. She probably didn't have a good grasp of money either. Anyway, these were some ideas that came into my mind of how he made it in Utah. Like that Sullivan guy's a kid in a candy shop, because he had some money in his pocket, not only from the jobs he had done, and Liz may have said, Dad, could you help him? This is his last stretch to get his law degree. So somebody was chipping into him, let's face it. All right, and then that would have allowed him to fly, and he was flying, and the month before, he had manipulated a gas card by letting somebody else use his card. All right, which means he could have dang ass flown out of there and tried to rent a vehicle, and for 2 or 3 days, just 2 or 3 days, somebody was caught in Jacksonville in their red Volkswagen, and they thought his car had broke down. I've told you the story. Go look for Virginia Helms, and you can hear the story. It just sounds too much like his M.O. Thank you.